have you ever felt like you were a burden to your family when you got older? Talu thought he was no longer useful in the village, but when a great food crisis emerged, the courage this old hunter would show would surprise everyone. If you knew your last hunt was a matter of life and death, would you still have the courage to go? This was real for Talu, and age is just a number. What truly matters is the fire in your heart. In the village of Kaktovik, 70-year-old Talu was living like a shadow. This proud Inuit man, who was once the village's most skilled hunter, now quietly spent his days in his son Benu's house. His hands trembled, his knees ached, and his eyes couldn't see as clearly as before. "Father, rest at home today too," Benu would say every morning. "You're old now, hunting is our job." Talu's heart broke a little more each time. The man who had fed this village for 50 years, who never turned back even in the most dangerous storms, was now being treated as old. Even his 15-year-old grandson, Kaja, no longer wanted to listen to his grandfather's stories. "Grandpa, you always tell the same stories," Kaja would say. "These are modern times now. Old methods don't work." Talu watched the sea from his window while remembering the past. In his youth, he had hunted 2-ton seals alone, found lost children in snowstorms, and saved the village from starvation many times. But now none of this mattered. He was just an old man in need of care. Things had been going badly in the village lately. Due to climate change, sea animals were migrating, and traditional hunting areas were becoming empty. Young hunters were hunting with modern equipment, but couldn't succeed. They had technical knowledge, but lacked experience. "Father," Benu said one evening with a worried voice, "we have a food problem starting in the village. We couldn't hunt any seals this month." Talu's eyes lit up. "I can show you the best hunting spots, the seals." "Father, please," Benu interrupted. "You can't do these things anymore. We'll try our own methods." But the situation in the village was getting worse day by day. Children had started crying. Elders were worried. Modern hunting methods weren't working because they couldn't understand the behavior of sea animals. That night, Talu made his decision. Early the next morning, Talu got up quietly. His body ached. He was short of breath, but he was determined. He took out his old hunting equipment, his parka that fit like it was part of his skin, the harpoon inherited from his grandfather, his 50-year-old kayak. "These equipment never left me halfway," he murmured. He heard his son Benu waking up, but continued his preparation without making a sound. His heart was beating fast, but this wasn't from fear. It was from excitement. He had missed this feeling he hadn't experienced in years. When Benu came to the kitchen, he saw his father ready. "Father, what are you doing?" "I'm going hunting," Talu said calmly. "What?" Benu shouted in shock. "Are you crazy? You're 70 years old." "That's exactly why I'm going, because being 70 years old means having 70 years of experience." His grandson Kaja had also woken up. "Grandpa, this is very dangerous. You're not young anymore." Talu turned to his grandson. "Kaja, youth doesn't just mean a strong body. Real strength is here," he said, pointing to his heart. "And I'm still the most experienced hunter in this village." Benu was panicking. "Father, if something happens, you can't go alone. I've known these seas for 50 years. I know every wave, every wind, every glacier movement. I know secret hunting spots you don't know." "But, Father, you have no technology, no GPS, no radio." Talu smiled. "I have my compass," he said, pointing to the sky. "The stars. I have my GPS," he said, smelling the wind. "The scent of the sea. I have my radio," he said, pointing to his ears. "The voice of nature." The villagers also woke up and learned about Talu's plan. No one believed it. "Talu, you're old now," said village leader Neko. "This is too risky." "Neko," said Talu, "you've known me for 30 years. Have I ever broken my word? Neko thought. Indeed, Talu had always kept his word. What if you don't return by evening? He asked. I will return, and I'll return with food. The experienced hunter got into his kayak and sailed away from the village. When Talu started paddling in his kayak, he had pain everywhere in his body. But as he began to move with the rhythm of the sea, it was as if his body remembered its youth. This was his natural state, his birthplace. Ah, old friend, he said to the sea, how I've missed you. Young hunters were hunting with modern technologies in certain areas, but Talu headed in a different direction. There was a secret hunting area that no one in the village knew about. This was a place Talu had discovered 40 years ago. As he continued paddling, his body was getting tired, but his spirit was getting stronger. This was his world. Here, age was just a number. After moving about 10 kilometers away from the shore, the wind changed. Talu's experienced nose immediately noticed this change. Cold air coming from the southwest, he murmured. This is the situation seals love. He didn't need GPS. The position of the sun, the direction of the wind, the color of the water. These were enough for him. 50 years of experience provided knowledge that no technology could give. As he approached the secret hunting area, his heart began to beat rapidly. Please, he thought to himself, don't leave me alone this time. When he looked at the water, he saw the first signs. Small bubbles on the water surface showed there was movement underwater. Talu's experienced eyes could read these signs. There they are, he whispered. But at that moment, he felt a sharp pain in his body. His heart began to beat irregularly. Old age was reminding itself at the most critical moment. No, he said to himself, not now, not yet. He took a deep breath and prepared his harpoon. This was his last chance. The seal herd was about 50 meters away. Talu's hands were trembling, but this time not from old age, but from excitement. He had been experiencing this moment for 50 years and still felt the same electricity. He slowly positioned his kayak. The wind was favorable. The current was right. Everything was perfect. Only his body wasn't cooperating. When the first seal surfaced, Talu raised his harpoon, but his arm muscles ached. He couldn't focus on his target. The first shot missed. No, he screamed inside. The seals gave alarm and began to dive. Talu's heart was pounding. If he missed this herd, he might not get another chance. But his experience told him, don't panic, wait. He waited for 15 minutes. His body was in pain, but he was patient. Young hunters would make mistakes here. They would rush. But Talu knew how to be patient. Finally, the seals began to surface again. This time, Talu was more ready. He did deep breathing, ignored the pain. When the second seal emerged, it was in perfect position. Talu used all his experience and threw the harpoon. This time, the target was perfect. I got it, he shouted. But the job wasn't finished yet. The wounded seal was trying to escape, and Talu needed to pull it into the kayak. This was the hardest part, because it required great strength. His old muscles were protesting, but Talu didn't give up. I am Talu, he shouted. I've been doing this job for 50 years. Thanks to adrenaline, he managed to pull the seal into the kayak. But at that moment, he felt severe pain in his chest. He was at risk of having a heart attack. Just until home, he talked to himself. Just hold on until home. The journey back to the village had begun. The seal was in the kayak. Talu had succeeded, but he still needed to paddle 10 kilometers to get home, and his body was at its limits. Every paddle stroke was painful. He was having trouble breathing, but the pride and determination inside him kept him going. This village trusted me for 50 years, he murmured. They can trust me one last time, too. Halfway through, the wind direction changed, and it began to be a headwind. This made paddling even more difficult. It would be challenging even for a young hunter. For 70-year-old Talu, it was nearly impossible. But at that moment, he remembered a trick from his youth. Instead of fighting the wind, dancing with it, he changed the angle of his kayak and made the wind his friend. Experience versus youth, he said, smiling. As the village approached, he saw human silhouettes on the shore. His son, Benu, grandson Kaja, and other villagers were waiting for him. They looked worried. When he approached the shore, Benu ran into the water. "Father, are you okay?" Talu tried to get out of the kayak, but his legs wouldn't hold. His son supported him. "Father, you did it," said Banu, seeing the seal in the kayak. The villagers had gathered and couldn't believe it. Old Talu had accomplished what young hunters couldn't. "How did you do it?" asked Kaja, looking at his grandfather with respect. Talu looked into his grandson's eyes. "Experience, Kaja. 50 years of experience. Technology is important, but wisdom is more important." Village leader Neko approached. "Talu, you taught us a great lesson. We underestimated you." "I had underestimated myself, too," said Talu. "But today I understood that old age is not weakness. It's a different kind of strength." That night, a big celebration was held in the village. A celebration not seen for a long time was held. The seal Talu had brought not only food, but also hope. Everyone was talking about the old hunter's success. "Father," said Benu, sitting next to his father, "I was unfair to you. I only saw you as old, but I didn't understand your value." Talu held his son's hand. "Benu, you're not a bad son. You just come from a different generation. What's important is that we both learn from each other." Kaja also approached his grandfather. "Grandpa, I want to listen to your stories now, really." "Stories aren't just the past, Kaja. They are wisdom, a guide for the future." Village leader Neko stood up and made a speech. "Friends, we learned a great lesson today. Modern technology is important, but we cannot ignore traditional knowledge. Talu showed us that experience is irreplaceable." The villagers applauded, but Talu knew this was just the beginning. "Neko," said Talu, "I can't go on long hunts anymore, but I can share my knowledge with the young people. I can teach them secret hunting spots, sea patterns, weather signs." This suggestion excited everyone. Modern equipment plus traditional wisdom equals perfect combination. From the next day, Talu began mentoring young hunters. He was teaching them to use GPS, but also showing them how to get direction from the stars. Technology can fail, he would say, but natural signs never fail. Within weeks, the village's hunting success rate increased dramatically. Young hunters were using modern tools, but acting with Talu's wisdom. Talu was no longer just an old man. He was the village's living treasure. Months passed and the village completely changed. Thanks to what Talu taught, young hunters were combining both modern and traditional methods. The village's food security problem was solved, but the most important change was in perspective. Now elderly people in the village were viewed differently. They were seen as resources, not burdens. Talu sat on the shore every morning, seeing off the young hunters. He no longer went hunting himself, but spiritually participated in every expedition. "Grandpa," Kaja said one day, "don't you go hunting anymore?" "Kaja, I'm hunting every day, through your eyes, through your success. I'm now hunting differently, knowledge hunting." People from other places also began coming to the village. Talu's teaching method had become famous. The old hunter had become a model combining the modern world with traditional wisdom. One day, a researcher from the city asked Talu, "How did you become so successful?" Talu smiled. "No secret, just respect. Respect for nature, respect for tradition, and most importantly, respect for yourself." What does respect for yourself mean? Not seeing your age as weakness, seeing it as a different kind of strength. At 70, my body is weak, but my mind is strong. This combination can only be given by experience. That evening, another celebration was held in the village, but this time not only for Talu's hunting success, but for the village's transformation. Benu stood up and spoke. "My father gave me the greatest lesson. Age is not just a number. What's really important is being able to make a contribution. My father is still making a great contribution to our village at 70 years old." Talu's eyes filled with tears. He had never felt this proud in his life. In his final speech, he said, "Dear friends, I have now made my last hunt, but my legacy will continue. In every young hunter, in every successful hunt, in every shared wisdom. And remember, old age is not an ending, it's a different beginning. We are not sunsets, we are guiding stars." This story teaches us this. Old age is not a weakness, it's a different kind of strength. No technology can replace experience, and most importantly, everyone has something they can contribute at every age. Respect is not only shown to the young, but also to wisdom, and wisdom comes with age. When families come together with love and determination, they can change even the most established rules. True strength comes not from physical power, but from the bonds between people and the wisdom accumulated over years. Dear viewers, are there valuable lessons you learned from elderly people in your life? Along with the lessons you draw from this inspiring story, share your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this meaningful story, don't forget to hit the like button. By subscribing to our channel, you can discover more inspiring and educational stories from the depths of Inuit culture. In our next video, we will meet again with another story full of powerful messages. Until then, don't forget to show respect for the wisdom of your elders.